So we were discussing uh, about the plant parts and systems. So as we you know um, as we know, we need to understand the different functionalities when we understand the origin tissue, how it is. So really, the roots could be of actually three types. It can be a taproot, which can directly go down to the soil with kind of an acropetal arrangement, okay, or basipetal arrangement to be more specific, okay. Basipetal meaning the base is wider than the tip, so you can then we can have the taproot. Sorry. Then we can have the fibrous root. Fibrous root doesn't follow any pattern. They directly grow from the point of origin and grow very randomly. Then we have adventitious root. Adventitious root doesn't grow from the point of origin or the intersection between the plumule and radicle. They grow from the stem. Okay. This is an example of adventitious root which is growing from the stem of a money plant. You can see that. So adventitious roots can be of three the types also. Um, um, the roots which are growing from the stems are could be called prop roots and stilt roots. Prop roots are directly they are growing perpendicular to the ground. Stilt root they can grow tilted to the ground. This is a picture of sugar cane here. If you see picture of sugar cane, this is a picture of sugar cane. You can see. Then we have pneumatophores. These are oxygen-breathing roots, which also originate from roots itself, but it grows upward. Okay, these are support and function enhancement roles of roots. There are other roles root also do. They can store food. We have turnips, carrots, sweet potatoes. They are also modified roots. Actually. Then we have stems. Stems can also have, they always look straight and be as branches, leaves, flowers, but they can do other functions also. So with different modifications, stems can do multiple functions. Like for example, in ginger, turmeric, and colocassias, even potato, they are stems actually. And when you see here, they they bulge up and they majorly bulge up underground and they store food. Okay. Um, so for food storage, they can have modifications. We can have modifications for tendrils. Okay, tendrils meaning for twiners and climbers, they need something to attach to other plants or plant branches. They need something to attach to, and for that reason, they can have backwardly turned hooks or tendrils. Tendrils are spring-like plant parts, very thin, and often they are modification of stems. You can have tendrils which are modified from leaves also, okay? And then we can have thorns, big plants like the bale plant, that is Aegle marmilis. They can have actually, you know, thorns. A stem can be modified to form a branch totally can be modified to form a thorn. Often stems are modified for vegetative propagation. They can grow on and on and on. In individual places, they can shoot out roots and shoots or leaves. Okay. Same thing happens with grass also. Um, Stems can do photosynthesis many times. They are green in color. Often they are green in color. They can do photosynthesis. They can act for plant, water plants. They can be used as a flotation device. Okay, they contain a lot of air, and they work as a flotation device for the plants, which normally floats on the aquatic plant, but they float on the water. We have leaves now. Leaves can be modified. Leaves, we all know they have a stalk that is petiole, and we have a leaf blade. They have veins. Leaves can be modified into multiple formats. As I said, tendrils could be one. Spines and the cactus are kind of leaves. We can have Venus flytraps. We can have flashy leaves, which can store food like onions. Okay, so this is how leaf looks like. In case of monocots and dicots, this is a very clear difference between monocots and dicots. Okay, and many leaves are often divided in leaf leaves. When you see curry leaves, curry leaves, you do not see this is the whole leaf. The leaf, this whole is a leaf actually. These are leaf leaves because they do not have a bud in the extra. At their joining point, if they do not have a bud, you cannot term them as a leaf. Okay, so sometimes these arrangements are pinnate, pine-like arrangements, and often they are palmated, like palm-like arrangements, pine or palm. That's how they are named. So these are origin arrangement of leaves. We call it in phyllotaxis. Okay. Often they form, assume a Fibonacci sequence. If you really measure the distance, the ratios of the distance can assume a Fibonacci sequence if it is a kind of spiral arrangement. It's not all arrangement. Rolled or spiral arrangement actually assume a Fibonacci sequence. Surprisingly, the spiral phyllotaxis often clockwise they may assume a different number of sequences, and anti-clockwise they may assume a different number. Then coming to animals classifications, animal classifications, they have multiple criteria for classifications, whether they can have, they are single cellular, multicellular, how loosely the cells are attached, if they have organ systems or not, if they have backbones or not, if they have vertebrae or not. So there are multiple ways of classification, if they have body segmentations or not. So these are the ways we can classify, the symmetry, radial symmetry or bilateral symmetry. If you, I'll just come through a bigger picture of classifications, and specifically we will discuss. You can read about it. Um, this is Animalia. Animalia is in the overall kingdom, and you can have a phylum Porifera, which incorporates sponges only. Systems level of organization is cellular, no tissue-like, meaning loose cells are attached, and you do not have a tissue-like function, meaning all cells trying to do one single function. It's not like that. We have tissue-like functions below all this phylum. Below Porifera, they can make tissues like systems. Often they make organ systems also. Okay, they can be radially symmetrical. In case of sea anemones and jellyfishes, they are radially symmetrical. Others are bilaterally symmetrical. All worms are bilaterally symmetrical until human beings, chordates. Now, whether they do have a body cavity or not, proper true body cavity or not. So true body cavities often is between, when you see here, this is this pseudocoelom, and true body cavity is between the mesoderm and mesoderm only. Okay, it's not between endoderm and mesoderm. So in living systems, we can have their eggs can grow into these layers, you know, and the first layer is called the ectoderm, second layer is called the mesoderm, third layer is called the endoderm. Many organisms they have two layers only, diploblastic. Okay, many, and advanced organisms are triploblastic, three layers. Blasters meaning generating layers. And if you have a cavity between the mesoderm and mesodermal cells, you can have a true cavity, true body cavity, like the one we have. Your intestine and everything is there in the body cavity. Okay, so the true body cavity starts from earthworm onwards, but other than that, false body cavities are there with without body cavity flatworms and false body cavities with roundworms. So this is a larger classification systems. You can see this is a very nice picture. How much we just knew different kinds of organisms, plants and animals. How many organisms of particular class take how much area or weight of in the overall world biosphere. So you see here, majorly we have plants. We have cut a lot of plants, but still we have major mass of organisms as plants. We have small mass of organisms as animals, and these animals, in that also we have major mass of them as arthropods, meaning majorly some are insects, some are shrimps, crayfish. These are all arthropods. Then we have, in case of chordates, we have fishes, which have a true vertebrate. Okay, and humans very less, but still it is good. You can see compared to many other organisms, humans are still a good. So yes, that is these are very unusual animals. I just showed that. This is Porifera, looks like sessile, meaning they do have a pore. These are hydra and sea anemones. Looks very beautiful, but if you go close to, they may sting you. Similar to that of this jellyfish, jellyfin can also sting you, but they are mobile. Okay, so they do have different generations. This is a medusa generation. This is a polyp polyp generation. Coral reefs, actually they are from Nidaria species. These are certain characteristics of them. We have another phylum called Ctenophora here. They look like uh, the medusoid Nidarians, but they are more closed. They do not have a open system like that, and they look like a comb bearing organism, and they're usually deep sea living, glow like a LED LED bulbs. They can glow like that. So I'm called comb jellies. Okay, these are certain specific characteristics of them. Okay, how they are different from these poriferas. Sorry, porifera and this nidarians. So then we have this flatworms. Often they are parasitic. You see here, uh, this is tapeworm. Be very long. These are certain characteristics of flatworms. These are also parasitic roundworms. Okay, and thread-like worms. They have a this is a parasite. They are sitting inside a pork. You can see a pork meat. Um, So this is certain. Then we have mollusks here, see, and they have hard shells. They are octopus-like. This is a good number. So proper visual elements, eyes actually, you start developing in mollusks, in living systems, in animals. Proper eyes started developing in mollusk phylum. All types of eye you can see them there. Okay, so these mollusks are called gastropoda. Their foot near their stomach, it elongates. That is a leg. We have tentacle kind of foots also. They are different kind of mollusks. They are called squids, octopus. These are certain characteristics of them. Okay. Then we have earthworms. These are annelidas, ring-like, annulus. Anna means annulus, rings. Almost you can see they are made up of rings. Okay, so Often they are parasitic, like leeches are sanguivorous, meaning they eat blood. Okay. So they do have a true body cavity. You can see this is called the phloem. That is the body cavity. Then we have arthropods. They also have a body cavity, but often they are called hemocoel. The blood isn't captured in a complete vascular system, but they do have heart. They are all contained in the image. So if you really want to find the nose of arthropods in their mouth, near their mouth, no. Their noses are there through which they exchange air besides their abdomen. Okay. So why they are called arthropods? They have jointed legs. This is a teeth, but you can see their legs seems to be jointed externally. You also have joints. We also have joints, but the joints you cannot see externally. Why they have external joints? Because they have exoskeleton. This is made of a chitin, and you can see commonness between fungus and arthropods. They have chitinous exoskeleton made of carbohydrate. After chordates, we have protein-based exoskeleton or anything. We also have nails. These can be called as exoskeleton, horns. So insects are a special kind of arthropods which has got four wings and six legs, compound eyes. These are certain characteristics. Then we have echinodermatous. They are fine skinned organisms. Their skins have spines. So starfish, sea urchins are most common among them. They do have a very unique kind of circulatory system called water circulatory system. They are marine in nature, of course. They do have a radial symmetry here. You can say pentaradial symmetry. These are certain characteristics. And then we have chordates, where we have certain level of uh, rudimentary backbone or backbones. Okay. So those who have real backbones called vertebrates, and those who do not have backbones are called invertebrates or non-invertebrates, which are chordate come but invertebrates. Okay. So um in chordates we have classes like this. Agnatha, organisms who do not have jaws. It looks like a fish. They are fish-like. Do not have a jaw properly. It's completely circular mouth, and but they do have vertebral column. Chondroctus, they are fishes which has their overall skeleton made up of cartilage, very soft. Sharks, stingrays, they come under these kind of fishes. Ostriches, rohi, other piranhas, these are all bone containing fishes. Their backbones are made up of bones, real bones. When we have amphibians, then these organisms can stay inside water and outside water. So we call them amphibians. They lay eggs, especially inside water. They breathe air, okay, and they do have four legs, often with tail, without tail. We have then reptiles as one of the class, which are, you know, very much terrestrial. Other than crocodile, you do not see much of reptiles interacting with water. Maybe some sea snakes they interact with water, but see they majorly lay their egg in land. So they are proper terrestrial organisms now. Okay. Then we have from birds and mammals. Okay. So until birds, we have egg-laying. After birds, in mammals, we do not. The living organisms do not lay egg. Whatever egg is there, they try to grow that egg, implant that egg inside their womb, and grow that egg to a grown organism. And number of organisms may vary for reproduction per batch. A mouse can give 12 organisms out of reproduction. So it depends. This is, these are certain characteristics of organisms. You can go through it. So that would be all for your module one. Okay, classification. So I took a bit more time, but I hope I could finish it.